me ask a question. Are we part of the problem? You and I. What problem? The problem in our culture, the problem in our society and our world. Are we perhaps part of that? I listened to some young adults and they were talking about wanting their children to go to certain school districts because those school districts were better than the ones that they had seen. And I thought about the fact that we take our kids out of school districts and put them in other districts because, well, we want things better, and yet we leave things worse, perhaps, because we leave it. A number of years ago, we were talking about putting a church in the middle of a city that I lived in. We were going to move from the outskirts inside the city. And it was met with a lot of force about, no, we are not going to do that. And we didn't. Sadly, that church didn't survive. And that center of the city has gotten worse. That's why I wonder sometimes if we're perhaps part of the problem. If we create some of the problems by the very fact that we move out, we get away. We get jobs and new jobs, and we move out of the areas in which we were born or which we've grown up, and we leave it. And the problem is that sometimes those areas don't get better, they get worse. And I've wondered whether or not we've contributed to that. We're told as Christians, as followers of Christ, to go into all the world. We're pretty selective about that because there's parts of the world we don't want to go to. In fact, we shy away from it. We'll drive around many miles to not have to go through it. And yet, those are the people that need Christ just as much as anyone else. We shy away from cultures because we don't understand them. I get it. I understand it. If you were around my family, you would know that we were loud and rambunctious. I was in a restaurant the other day and there was a gentleman there who had a heavy accent and he was extremely loud. It irritated me. In fact, I mentioned to my grandson who was with me how much it bothered me, and he said it bothered him too. Now, the point is that man was just who he was. It wasn't anything wrong that he was doing. It was just that I didn't like it. And when we don't like something, we shy away from it. We put distance between ourselves and them. And that's part of the reason I ask whether or not we are part of the problem. Perhaps what we need to do is learn how to go across the street and meet our neighbors. And maybe we need to stay in some of our neighborhoods and fight for them and not allow the things that take over to take over. Maybe we need to do that so that we're not part of the problem. I want you to think about that today and ask yourself the same question. Are you part of the problem? Hey, until next time, God bless.